For a TV show so deeply rooted in genre conventions, Bridgerton does contradiction and creative difference remarkably well. Each of the romances in the 3 seasons so far has been distinct and yet familiar to fans of romantic literature, and the modern spins on Regency romance keep things impressively fresh. Yes, there are tropes, but Bridgerton has a progressive beating heart that isn't settled because of the show's convention-challenging portraits of race. Then again, there is a convention to Bridgerton that feels immediately comfortable and comforting, and the biggest question, in a different way perhaps than expected from Season 3, is, what next? This time, it's not just a matter of picking which of the Bridgerton children will be the lead of Bridgerton Season 4, because there are bigger, more transformative questions asked by the ending. The biggest selling point of Colin and Penelope's love story in Season 3 is that there are 3 people involved. Not in a "have you met my friend Paul?" sort of way, but because of the looming shadow of Lady Whistledown. Throughout Season 3, but particularly in the second half, Penelope teeters on the edge of her entire world falling apart with the revelation of her secret identity. How Bridgerton Season 3 Part 2 carefully navigates that storyline is impressive, and an improvement on the source material. The way Penelope is written in Julia Quinn's novels is far less engaging than here, and there's a little too much of a suggestion that her social worth and value to men, even Colin, is tied to her physical appearance. In Netflix's adaptation, that problematic note is avoided by Penelope's worth being more tied to her family's social standing and her reserved manner. She stands on the edge of things, by design, and an important part of the last 4 episodes is her claiming her true position. Therein lies Bridgerton Season 3's cleverest, and indeed most earnest, commentary. This world may have solved racial prejudice thanks to its casting choices, but it's never been more clear that there are still considerable barriers to real equality. Class and gender are still problems to be fixed, and Bridgerton Season 3 Part 2 tackles the subject manfully, particularly in Penelope's raging turmoil over Whistledown. Seeing how their story ends, or this chapter of it, to be more accurate, is a beautiful payoff of the friends-to-lovers slow burn of the past 3 seasons. And the fact that Penelope, and not Colin, is such a driving force in how it does is important. And all messaging aside, that payoff, and particularly the choice of song, is exactly the right amount of sweet. And it's a great answer to anyone still hung up on the problem of sex scenes on TV, because it's impossible not to be completely enraptured. While very few Bridgerton fans would have complained at getting 8 solid episodes devoted to the awkward ballet of Colin and Penelope's love and the Lady Whistledown issue, the season is a rich tapestry of intertwining stories. Part 2 advances Cressida's story, which is the stuff of Shakespearean tragicomedy. Violet's emerging friendship with Marcus Anderson, Daniel Francis, and his apparently shady past. Benedict's continued sexual awakening, and Francesca's romance with John Sterling, Victor Alley. All the new characters are strong additions, though Lady Tilly is, admittedly, hard to accept for anyone who knows Benedict's love story in the books. With that prejudice pushed aside, I did really appreciate where Part 2 took Benedict, and his future looks very interesting. I would, perhaps, have liked more from Eloise than her part as Penelope's telltale heart. But the new story written for her in the ending at least offers more promise for the future. And crucially, less dependence on others. It's in the promise for the future that Bridgerton Season 3 Part 2 gets really interesting. In the first 2 seasons, because of the serialized storytelling approach, there was a very definite ending point. But here, we're already looking beyond the wholesome epilogue to what lies ahead, and with the delicious unknown of multiple seeded stories potentially vying for main focus next season. If you can confidently say which Bridgerton will be the show's diamond next time, you're more informed than me. There is excitement in the promise of any radical newness, even if Bridgerton hadn't yet grown stale, but there will be unknown waters ahead. Bridgerton has always been a Regency answer to Gossip Girl, where the magic trick was more enjoyable than the prestige. And there has been such a potentially seismic change in Part 2 that it's hard to say what comes next. As long as it comes sooner than 2 years' time, even if it's another spin-off, the mystery will be part of the fun.